You should have been there.
I wish I did. I think I did actually.
Yeah, very soon you came into the picture there.
Yeah, I did. So how was it? I mean, today we know how we can find inspiration and material, but you didn't have internet and YouTube and a lot of other dancers to learn from. So what did it look like? And was it just the Lindy Hop? And you mentioned that you were interested in the whole overall culture surrounding the dance. So where did you source your inspiration material? Did you choreograph yourself? How did that look like?
Old films. That was the thing. The key thing was to collect old movies, and that was not easy at the time. What could you do? Well, we did collect the original material we had access to. It was actually filmed by Anders in movie theaters illegally.
Oops.
I think no one will comment on it. It's such a long time ago, but he went to movie theaters, so we got copies of primarily Day at the Races. But later on, I told before that we rented Hälsa Pop in privately to show it for the members of Swedish Wing Society. But the guy running the machine, he didn't know that we also filmed the sequence hidden behind the kind of curtain that was behind him. So that led to that we had those two clips. But there were clips coming on Swedish television sometimes. There was a TV program that was extremely popular at the time. It was broadcasted on Saturday nights, if I remember correctly. It was completely politically incorrect. It was two guys, they were TV personalities, and they sat in one of the guys' apartments. They were drinking heavily, singing, playing jokes with each other, and in between they showed a lot of old film clips from especially African American dancers, but also white dancers, but it was jazz, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, 50s, 40s, 30s. And so every Saturday we recorded with our VHS player these programs, and every time we got maybe 5 clips that we could make some good use of.
Must be natsud.
It must be natsud.
Yeah.
What is that in English? Natsud.
Night owl.
Late night wild party.
Rambling. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. And it was very homey atmosphere, and they were sitting there almost like just put a camera in a corner and had a
It's a little bit
party.
like me and you are sitting now.
Yeah,
but the table here would be full whiskey. Of alcohol.
Yeah.
And they were smoking and playing guitar.
And you mentioning how Anders, recorded the important clips while he had a chance to do that. And I remember trying to work from those, how it was like just shadows moving around and not really the best quality, hardly not.
I mean, the material we got from TV was as good as as you could get it. But the material that came from movie theaters could be very questionable. But there was one more source, but that was a tricky source. There were collectors having real film on wheels. And they could very well have a lot of material that we were interested in. But those people that we met, some of them, they were not willing to just give it to someone, because if they would have been very accommodating to us, they could have shown the film on a white screen and we could have used the camera just to record it. But often they wanted to trade and get something back. But we didn't have anything to give back, really.
We have a bad copy of
we have
Day at the Races, an illegal copy.
So there were a handful of possibilities. And of course, gradually we heard about people that had private VHS collections in the US, but we also got copies from a Swedish jazz musician, Jens Lindgren. He worked at the Jazz Archive in Stockholm, and he had been a long time jazz musician. So he had been inside this world for so many years before we came into it. And he had a nice VHS collection of old stuff. And I remember I copied it all, and he was fine with that. And I remember we got a lot of material, and that also led to that we seriously started to tap, because we got a lot of tap clips, and especially one clip fascinated us. And it was, you know which one I'm talking about, the Four Step Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Nagasaki.
Nagasaki. That one. Dun, dun. So that was a number from 1934, and it was, in our eyes, it was a punchy number. It was a typical number for the guys. So Anders, myself, and Eddie, we started to try to pick up the steps without knowing the basics of tap, which is kind of weird. You start to try to, and you don't even know what a flap or a shuffle is. I mean, gradually you got a little understanding for basic elements, but it was a very time-consuming thing. And I also remember that sometimes we disagreed heavily, because Eddie, he was sitting looking at it, and Anders was looking, maybe I was looking, and we came up with different ideas on what they did, and also different ideas about what does it sound like, because it was the sound and it was the picture. And if you don't have music really in your background, you don't have tap, it takes time. It takes time. But finally we had the number. Let's say we did 95% exactly the same as you could see in the movie. And then a little bit was something of our own, because we couldn't figure out what was done really.
I mean, it's really amazing. When I hear about it, I done tiny bit of tap just to understand how hard it is and what it takes to be exact with the technique in the music to actually be able to do something with it. It takes such a long time. And here you didn't have any basics.
No.
And you're trying to figure out the dance, the rhythm, the technique through movies. It's kind of like such a...
I mean, we tried to learn some basics here in Stockholm, but we felt, I think it was me and Anders walking around, I don't think Eddie was with us. I think it was me and Anders walking around to a few dance schools that had tap. And we met some people that taught tap, but we felt what they did, it was nothing that we could compare to the movies. So we felt this must be an offspring of the real thing. The real thing to us was the old movies. This must be an offspring, and it has drifted away so far from what it once was. So we should not learn anything from this teacher, because he would just destroy the idea.
Let's go back and close the doors again.
Yeah, it was back to that. I mean, Catherine had a background with tap, my dance partner, and she was happy to show us. But we said the same to her. Catherine, your tap dancing, it's not what we see in the movies, so we don't want to learn anything from you.
Not even the basics?
No. It was just no. We felt that as soon as we learn something from someone that has another platform for tap, it might destroy what we want to achieve. And we wanted to achieve something similar to the movies, and we didn't want that to be diluted by any amateur that had done some tap. So it was a very... It was definitely a goal. Brainwashed, I would say.
Yeah. And I can relate to what you're talking about. I feel, when I just do a little parenthesis here, when I joined the group, I think one of my qualities was that I was not a dancer. In your eyes, when I did the audition, it's like, good, nothing have quite destroyed her yet. And I was like, I know some book, I can use that. And I added my book, and they were like, oh no. So luckily that wasn't big, too many hours in my body. But I remember you guys talking about that afterwards, that want something pure that we can, bring up, and finding the not having too many influences from outside.
So that was one of the important things with the group. I think we wanted to stay as authentic as we possibly could, remembering our background was extremely the total opposite of African American culture in the 20s, 30s. I mean, our background had nothing to do with that. It was like walking into another world somehow. So of course that was a problem for us. We understood the problem, but the only thing we could do is to believe in that if you do something for many hours, you might be able to master it. And that was the mindset that Anders had very much. And I followed in his footsteps, and the whole group became a platform for that thinking. If you just repeat things Finally, it must be possible that you can do it.
And when you say that, do you think, considering that we had, our background had nothing to do with that culture, was it any specific piece or part of it that you see now we could never achieve because we didn't we didn't come from that place? What would you say now to that?
Yeah, we had a lack of rhythm. Yeah. And it's something, if you can dance, if you're a good dancer, I guess it's the same, playing an instrument, singing, whatever. If you need to have rhythm deep in your soul. And if you don't have that, you can learn the movements, I believe, but it might not look fully as dancing. It might look that you have done your homework very well, but you don't know the package. And that was the problem that we often faced. We did exactly what they had done in the movies or what Al had shown us, but it didn't look the same. And we even, copied sometimes arms and things. And we did the same as the movies, but it didn't look the same. And that taught us, of course, the lesson that you need those 10,000 of hours to be in the culture of this. And also, frankly, maybe we started too late. We were in our early 20s. Maybe you need to start like people like the Nicholas brothers or Sammy Davis or someone. And most of the good performers that we saw in the old movies, they probably started when they were kids. I mean, Al told that he danced in the streets in Harlem when he was very young, both dancing, singing, and so on. And if you have that upbringing, you absorb something that you probably cannot absorb later on. It's like a language. My Swedish is probably good because it's my language. But when I sit here speaking English, anyone can hear that I'm not from England or from the US or something. I make grammatical mistakes. I have intonations that are weird. I have an accent. All those things can tell people he's not born in a country where English is his language. And it's the same with dancing, I believe. You can see that this person doesn't come from the culture, even though you have mastered a high percentage of the picture, but the deep quality of it is very hard to grasp. And it's very few clips, if I look at myself, that I've seen with myself, where I even can feel a deep similarity with the clips. But if I chose to see the surface of it, we were quite successful because we worked so hard, especially with fast Lindy and acrobatics. And some of the tap numbers, they were exciting to look at, I think. But they still didn't have this deep quality in it. But they were punch. We had a lot of punch. And people liked the numbers, I think. So an average audience might not even see the difference because they don't have a trained eye for that. But so that was the major problem, I think, to get inside music, rhythms, the culture of it.
Yep. I remember that. Comparing and like, what is it? And trying to, and that difference that we could never make up for.
No.
Because the cultural difference, that the experience, the living, the life lived, all those things that bring the color and the flavor of the whole thing.
We have to remember, we didn't have any Savoy ballroom.
What to look at that, make sure we have. Oh, where is my? Excuse me. I just checked the battery. Yeah.
No, we didn't have this Savoy ballroom. We didn't even dance socially, really. I remember for a short period of time, me and you went to a jazz club dancing on our own a little bit socially. Stampen, which was a recognized jazz club here in Stockholm. It still exists, but I think it's more rock and roll now. Anyway, but we didn't have anywhere to go. We stood there 5, 6, 7 times a week in a kind of gymnastic hall, white walls, nothing, no inspiration at all. And it was the 6 of us, and we only were trying to do our homework all the time. And I remember when Frankie came to us later on in the 80s, I think he found us also a little bit weird, because we just stood there, kind of repeating over and over again everything. And if you don't have the background of social dancing when it comes to the Lindy and places like the Savoy or similar, it's also difficult to get into it. You need another aspect of the dance, and we never had that opportunity really, or not the interest either. It's hard to say.
Yeah. I remember Frankie shaking his head and like couldn't quite grasp where we could find the inspiration and the energy to do the homework, where it's no live band, music is coming from tape recorder, and it was just so dead, the whole environment, and training clothes on, and that aspect of the dance, it's like, wow, how is it even possible to get something going from this place?
Do you know that I found a few years ago, we recorded a lot when we practiced. It's not like now you have a little telephone. I carried around a quite big VCR like this in a box. I had a TV, a smaller one, maybe like this, and then it was a camera on top of that also had a reasonable size. All those things, basically I carried those things to every practice we had. I biked there, and I had them on my bicycle. It was a little mountain behind where I was sitting, and I remember we always filmed what we did. We had mirrors from time to time, and we filmed a lot, and we compared, and we said, no, you need to get up here, you do this area, you have to bring your leg higher up, or you have to rotate like this. So it was a lot of to do something, and then look at the recording of it, go back, do it again, look at the recording of it. It was a very monotonous process somehow that we worked within.
And between the couples, did you, I could answer this myself, but while you're explaining it, was it like a sharing? If we had the same aerial we were going to execute, did we share between the couples?
Not much. But that was also on purpose, because I think one idea was that each and everyone should get their own impression of the aerial.
Yeah.
Because we understood that we should not look exactly the same. So it was good if each and everyone looked at maybe different clips, or even the same clip but made different conclusions of it.
And then trying, a flip of some sort, different techniques. Okay, we can jump here, the timing could be here, and this worked for us for a period of time, and the same one worked differently for you with a different technique.
Oh, yeah.
So it was, you find your own technique and your own way of doing it. You land on the same number, when you need to, but the details leading up to that could be very different.
Yeah.
By purpose, you didn't want to look exactly uniform.
No. So we had understood that much, that it had something to do with individuality.
Yeah.
So it was, when I look back upon it, and that's what I was going to say a few minutes ago. A few years ago, I found the VHS cassette that we used often for recording all our tryouts. And luckily it was still alive. So I have 3 hours from one of these boring places where we practiced all the time, and we can see the same little piece of dancing repeated many times, and we talk a little bit in between and do it again. It's a completely boring atmosphere. And when I looked at it, it was like, did we really do this day after day after day? And on top of it, when I heard myself, it was very... I sounded so... what word should I find in English? A little bit aggressive, demanding, disappointed with everything we did. It was a very critical point of view that everything was not very good. And
never good enough. I mean,
it was never good enough.
It was an impossibility to even...
Yeah, but I was picturing, because that is also the atmosphere I remember a little bit from the others. But I didn't know that I sounded that bad too. But I remember Eddie and Eva, they could also... And I mean, Anders, when you worked with him, oh my God, that was tough. because you could stand there for an hour or two repeating one little piece of an aerial over and over and over again. And it wasn't a cheerful atmosphere. It was just, let's do it again, let's do it better. It was that kind of discipline. It was a job you did. It was very disciplined, and somehow that led to a result. But the environment, when I look upon it today, was probably very questionable. But somehow we were so dedicated and so brainwashed and obsessed, so we accepted that environment to reach a higher goal of some kind, which was to learn something, to show it on a stage, and gradually also to start to pass on things.
And I think for me it was the idea that it was not a cheerful environment to practice, but we were sharing it on stage, and that was where the joy came out.
Yeah.
You know, that's when it's like, we were super inspired, and we were, pepping, and it's like we all got together in a very united way, I would say. We were a tight group, but then you got back to your corner and did your homework.
It was very much about corners.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for the work we did on stage and actually blow it out and that piece of it, I don't think we could have just done the homework to dig. Not for me. I was definitely that.
But it was
piece of it.
I mean, in the early years, partly before you arrived to the group, which was in the fall of '86, we didn't have any jobs really. We didn't have any jobs, so that meant all we lived for was to go to the practice, and then maybe we had a job in 2 months, one job, and then gradually we got more jobs, of course. But in the beginning, if you have maybe a Lindy number, it's not much to offer. Maybe you need 10 minutes, or maybe you need half an hour.
Yeah.
So it was tricky, and somehow we did it. But gradually, as you said here, when we got more jobs, that was maybe the reason why we did it. But it was also this deep love for the whole thing. And somehow we survived inside this environment.
I think it's really fascinating to hear.
I have to show you something.
Yeah, where is that?
This is a little cup I have. I don't know if you can see it. It's
Titeldata,
we have a bad light here. Titeldata. This is our payment for one of the early jobs.
You are a collector, aren't you?
I know. I still drink water or something else in this one. You have Frankie.
I have
Frankie 90.
Yeah. I like my cup better, but that was.
So this is a collector's item, I believe.
We had a live band, didn't we?
Yeah, Kustbandet. So that's where Jens Lindgren, the guy that gave us a lot of clips, that is the band where he played.
Yeah.
So we did small jobs. It was nothing big around it.
Chink. So I think we should move on to into the more international scene here. When I like to hear you speak about other people outside of Sweden who was interested in this and how you found out. I'm thinking about the people in Los Angeles, in London, and New Yorkers. How come you become more interested, and what was the initial thing that led to you guys checking that out and meeting with them?
That was a big question.
Yeah.
I mean, the first
what
people
was the
we
first
met.
That happened. Yeah.
That was New York '84.
Yes.
The very few Lindy dancers that were, and as I said before, it was a mix of people that had started recently taking Al's classes. That was one group of people. That was the white downtown group of people, 30, 40 years old, most of them, something like that. And then you had the veteran dancers that had lived in Harlem back in the days, danced in the ballrooms of Harlem at the time, and still being social dancers. There were dances held uptown, and normally that's where most of the African Americans came. And there were dances held downtown, and that's where most of the white dancers were. But there were also dances where people came visiting each other's scenes. So they were in the same package, but they were also a little bit separated from each other. But we definitely went to Harlem to do social dancing in '84. There were dances organized up there. The one I remember most is Small's Paradise, which was a famous nightclub back in the days. And that was possibly Harlem Renaissance Orchestra playing that night. And there were definitely a lot of African Americans, elderly most of them, doing the dance, and then a handful of us connected to Sandra Cameron and having Al with us came up there to social dance. Not that I think we danced very much, the Swedes, because we didn't know much about it.
All right.
But we looked and we got the inspiration of it.
Okay. When so after 94, when did you have a chance to go back to New York after
You
that?
mean 84?
I must say, yeah,
84. 87. It took a few years. February 87. And that was when I had been introduced is the wrong word. I had been told by, I believe it was Erin Stevens in Pasadena that told me that Frankie Manning is in circulation. He's teaching. He was one of the key members of Whitey's Lindy Hoppers. He is in Helsa Pop in blah blah blah. And that must have been like in October 86. So before October 86, we have to remember now, Al passed April 85. And then it took all this time before October 86 came. And that is when I understood fully that we have to contact Frankie also, because he teaches, he's important, he wants to be inside this. And it was at a gathering in London where I met Erin. I called Frankie maybe in November 86. And we spoke a little bit. First time we spoke to each other. We had met before, but at that time I didn't know who he was really. But we spoke and I said, I have plans to try to go to New York. If those plans materialize, can we meet up? I want to meet you and to talk to you. So that's what happened. He performed together with Big Apple Lindy Hoppers at the time. He was the trainer, the choreographer of an amateur group of downtown Manhattan Lindy Hoppers connected to New York Swing Dance Society that had been formed probably in 1985. I guess the association was formed. So he performed, and I was told by him or someone else. I went to see the performance. It was at a small club, and after the performance we spoke a little bit and we decided that I should come to his home a few days later. He lived out in Queens, I think, somewhere, I don't remember. So I traveled there with a train, subway, something, and I came to his apartment. He lived in a high building, high up. I knocked on his door. He opened and I stepped in to an apartment. Could it have been 2 rooms and a kitchen maybe? Not big, not small. Anyway, I came in there and he had prepared a little lunch. And that's when he had prepared sandwiches with meatballs, which is typical Swedish. And he had put toothpicks with small Swedish flags on the toothpick, which I thought was quite wow. I think I felt immediately, I think it's a good possibility that we will become good friends. Because he made an effort of that kind. I'm nobody. And he made that effort to have a lunch and then this little meatball toothpick flag thing. Oh, I spoke to him, I don't know for how long, a few hours maybe, about this and that. He showed me some of his old photos. And then I guess I came to a point where I asked him, would you like to come to Sweden and work with the dance troupe, the Rhythm Hotshots, exclusively? And I guess he said yes. I don't remember the details of that. But a few months later, in the summer of 1987, he came to Stockholm for the very first time. And I think that was his first professional job abroad. Not talking about the 30s, 40s, 50s now. But after he seriously stepped into dancing in the mid-80s again, replacing Al as a teacher at the Sandra Cameron and connecting to the New York Swing Dance Society, I think that Stockholm job was his first abroad. So he came here and he stayed for 10, 12 days, something, and he worked with us, 6 members, including yourself. It was also this practice a lot. We were in Stockholm in some different locations, and we spent about a week in Herräng, but it was not the dance camp week. It was just a week for the 6 of us plus Frankie.
But working in Folkets House, the main building in Herräng.
Oh yeah.
What was your impression of Frankie now when you had the experience of Al, and what did they have in common, or what differentiate them? What was the impression of Frankie?
Frankie was very different.
How so?
As a dancer, oh my God. I remember seeing him dance in 87 in New York, and I thought he did another dance. I had not understood that the Lindy Hop can look so different. Gradually I understood they are within the same frame. But Al, the way we had seen him, he danced very basic. Very basic, very soft, smooth. He was like floating around with the dance. Frankie was much more rhythmical into the ground. And he used a much more complex footwork. So I remember asking him in New York, he must have been then in February 87, that, are you doing the Lindy, the dance you just did, was it the Lindy or did you add something else to it? Because I was not used to that type of Lindy. So when he came here, I think it took a while before I personally, I don't know about the rest of you, before I accepted his way of doing the Lindy, because I was so much into the Al way of doing the Lindy. So it took a while. Because I compared Frankie to Al, and Al was for me, at the time, the source, the true source. And then Frankie came with something that was different, but also the same. So it was a process to step into. It took a while.
And you had so much material working with Al. Could you bring that to the forefront and then bring Frankie in there to kind of compare? Did you do that? It's like, this is our jazz library with the steps that we know from Al, and bringing Frankie and see his style. Did you do that kind of thing, or you just like...
I don't have a memory that we did that really. Frankie he showed us other stuff. We had told him what we had been taught by Al. So, I mean, when Frankie did solo jazz routines, then it was not the Chim Cham. He did Big Apple, I remember. Al had shown us Big Apple too, but Frankie did some other versions, but he also put together routines, and I think we all remember that he put together something to pose in. And then it was other stuff with the Lindy Hop. He probably helped us something with the air steps. He also did some tap. I don't know how many of us that participated, but some of us did. Because Frankie was also a good tap dancer. Not on any kind of Teddy Hale, Baby Lawrence level, but he was a solid tap dancer, so he could do that. And I mean, back in the days, he did perform with tap from time to time. Not as a tap dancer, but within what the Congaroos did, for instance. That could be a tap routine. So he passed on a little bit of this and that. And he left. And I think we had filmed a lot of material, much more material than we ever filmed with Al. There is not much preserved from when Al was here. But when Frankie was here, I would say it must be 6, 7, 8 hours that are preserved. Not interviewing him or something, but from the classes we did in Herräng. And when I occasionally look at those, I'm thinking, oh my God, how bad we are. Frankie stands in front, the 6 of us are standing behind, and he does very simple things. It could be boogie drop or Pimp Walk or Susie Q. Basic material somehow. And I see the six of us, especially myself, fighting in the background to do those things so they look at least reasonably okay. I mean, at this time, we could do a fast routine that looked okay. We could dance fast, we could do a lot of air steps. But when it came to the nature of dancing, the true nature of dancing, to be alone and to move to the music, it seemed like we were lost in the... In Swedish we say lost in the pancake. And that's exactly what we were.
Vilse i pannkakan.
Vilse i pannkakan.
And I have the memory, we danced with him and rehearsed, but it was... The camera for sure was there because we knew that we needed to go over this and work by ourselves.
Oh yeah.
And spend so much time. I also have this memory that he danced with Eva and dressed up in, wasn't in a white jumpsuit.
I was so disappointed.
It's like, do you have something you can dress up? And we kind of like make it look nice. And we had was Gunnar there helping us with a set a little bit to make something in the background look nice, and Frankie dressed in this white jumpsuit, like an overall.
Yeah, and I remember Frankie telling that he will bring a jumpsuit, or maybe he said only suit. And I remember he walked upstairs, he lived upstairs in Folkets Hus in Herräng, to dress up for this special film shoot. And I thought he was going to come down like he was dressed maybe in the 30s, you know, with something real.
He just her suit. Suit.
And then he came in like an overall, as you say, something totally different. I remember I was just thinking, but that's not the suit.
No.
And I was disappointed. I mean, now I think it's fun. Well, why not? But at that time, we were so old school in our thinking, so everything should be 30s, 40s, something. And this was, what is this? 70s, 80s, what is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, Frankie did a very, what should we say, a very strong impression. We learned to know him as a person, I think, and he was an impressive character, I think. He was warm, helpful, positive, full of spirit. I mean, he was 73 when he came. I don't think we felt he was 73. He was more like 45 or something.
What's so there were other, as you mentioned, uptown in New York, there were other people from the older generation that had kept dancing through the years and you know, didn't put away the dance shoes too far. But what was it about Frankie why did he become the one that...
You mean back in the days, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking it could have been someone else. Why was it Frankie who became the ambassador? I mean, he took over after Al, right? At the Sunny Cameron studio.
Of, yeah.
He took his role as the teacher, but then Frankie became the ambassador.
Yeah.
So the importance of Frankie here, being the one who ended up traveling so much and visiting so many places and people and dance floors.
I think he loved this.
Yeah.
I have a memory, I heard him say things like, "This is my big love affair." And of course, he retired from the post office in the mid-80s. The Lindy scene started to grow. It was not only veteran dancers from Harlem doing this dance any longer. It was a new generation coming in. And Al had passed, as you said. Frankie was kind of ready to move back to more dancing than he had done for many years. I mean, Frankie never stopped dancing socially, but professionally he stopped in 55. So it was like 30 years when he had his family, kids, his job at the post office, and then he retired, he had divorced. He was ready to dance again. And there were young people knocking on his door. And what could inspire Frankie more than that?
So when you came knocking on the door and inviting him to Sweden, it was no hesitance. He was ready to go.
I would say so, because he had already stepped into it then. He had met a lot of other dancers from New York, of course, from California, but also from London. So he was already introduced to that something is cooking, something is happening around this dance. There are young people that seem to be ambitious and they want to do things. And I have retired. I still love to dance. I want to be a part of this. So it was for him, I think it was a very simple decision.
Yeah, and once he did, I mean, he was really made himself so available.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
in all the ways, and having, I think we were so fortunate to have him with his, with all his different qualities as a human being, and the memories and the storytelling and all of that. And yeah, we could perform a fairly good number to a fast song, but he brought in so many other aspects of it. So it was crucial for having a little better understanding and the social aspect of the dance that we never had a chance to really get into or understand. For me, it was almost like a different dance. It's like
But I mean, he was the perfect link between the past and the present. No one could have done a better job than Frankie did. He was the right guy at the right time in the right place. There were other people. I mean, Norma was in circulation. She didn't want to teach really, and I don't think she was patient enough to deal with a lot of beginners. She wanted to work with professionals more. But she was a part of this, but she was much more in the background. Frankie was in the forefront because he wanted to be there, because people asked for him. Norma was hesitant at the time. She also promoted Frankie all the time. She always said, you should ask Frankie. Frankie knows. So she was like Frankie's biggest fan in a way. She never stepped in front of Frankie. She pushed Frankie in front of her all the time. So they had a very unique friendship. I don't think they ever were like this, but their friendship was very unique. Very different personalities. But I would say she idolized Frankie. So Frankie became the man, and he traveled, as you said. Sometimes, one year I asked him, he spoke about 40 weekends during a year, plus that he had his regular classes back in New York. And he was often trying to get back to those, to not miss them, which is very fun. The rest of us stayed for holidays for 2 days. But Frankie, he flew back.
Yep. Yeah, they have rehearsal back home.
Yeah.
With the Big Apple dancers.
But I never felt that Frankie was... I never felt that Frankie did it as a job. It seemed to me that he had stepped into doing this as his lifestyle, completely his lifestyle, and I think he loved to do it. He really liked the idea of passing on this dance to new people, no matter where you were from. He wanted the world to do the Lindy Hop. That was kind of his mission.
Yeah, and you could really feel that when he was on the dance floor, teaching, helping beginner. He walked up to people and he really gave his time, and it was so important that people understood, how to do it, and even if everybody else had to wait a little bit, a few minutes, but this person he's there to help each and every one as much as he could. He was very dedicated to.
I mean, he cared for beginners and people with 3 legs or left foot or something.
A lot of patience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't think he cared if you were a hot shot of some kind or if you were a beginner. If you wanted to do the Lindy, Frankie was there trying to be a part of that.
Yeah, you can really feel that. So what happened? What was the shift? First year of Herräng dance camp was 89.
82.
Yeah, 82.
For Frankie it was the first time, 89.
Yeah. So since Swedish Swing Dance Society has been running summer camps up in Herräng since 82. Yeah. And they continue a few years past. When was there last year, do you know?
I mean, the 82 to 88, Herräng Dance Camp was run by Swedish Swing Society. 89, we started a camp that we actually called Herräng Dance Camp. The other ones in the 80s was just Herränglägret, the Swedish word, Herräng Camp. Swedish Swing Society continued for a few years, I don't know how many, 3, 4 maybe, parallel to us. So there were 2 camps in Herräng. But gradually we made them into one camp instead. And the Rhythm Hotshots, the dance troupe, became the organizers of Herräng Dance Camp. So Swedish Swing Society faded themselves out of the project.
So what was the shift there? What happened since in the beginning you were protective, we're not going to share this, someone's going to destroy it, we have to like baby it a little bit and nourish it, to inviting Frankie back in and to open up and be willing to share what you were doing? What was the thought process there? Do you remember?
You touched that we were protective, and that is very true. I mean, we were protective in the 80s. I even remember when we heard about jiving Lindy Hoppers in London. We felt uncomfortable that some other people were doing this dance in London, because we felt that it was our project. It was very weird when I think of it now, but we were so into it, and we were trying to protect it from all kind of pollutions. Not saying that jiving Lindy Hoppers polluted the dance, it's not that, but we were so protective. And then we understood that there was a group in London, as well as some other people too in circulation. But the group in London, they did exactly what we did. They were trying to find old material, hanging out with old-timers, learning from them, especially from the beginning, Mama Lou Parks, and later on Pepsi Bethel especially. Frankie came into the picture there as well as together with us. But it was just a new thought that there are other groups working semi-professionally, professionally. It was a new situation. But if you remember, we went to London in 88 and performed with the Jiving Lindy Hoppers. So those first initial thoughts that why are there more people doing this dance, why are we not exclusive, that disappeared quite quickly. And now when I look back upon it, it is the weirdest of thoughts. It's so weird to think like that. Why do you protect the dance, a social dance and the performance dance? It's better if many people are doing it. Why should we be the only ones? But it was a piece of how it was in Sweden in the early days when we felt that Swedish Swing Society was disrespectful to the culture
Maybe
somehow,
came out
and
of
that stayed with us for a few years. But then in 88 we worked together, and Frankie was there, and that was
in London. 88.
Yeah.
I remember Frankie was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was called something. What was the show called? Cotton Club Revisited, I think.
And I don't remember that it was like we were looking.
No, not at that
like
time.
that. That was definitely something we enjoyed doing together.
But then we had started to gradually change how we thought. And when we started Herräng with Frankie as our star in 89, then of course we had already changed to let's be a part of spreading this dance also, not only learning it on a performance level.
And so at that time, did the group perform during workshops and festivals? When did that start to happen? Was that part of the sharing and getting used to, more people are interested, this is actually a good thing? But when would you say performance and workshops become a thing you did in the same setting?
You mean within the new and young Lindy community?
Yeah, because for a while there we worked hard in the group and we did performances at Titeldata or somewhere else. But at some point it shifted a little bit and more festivals started to pop up. So we were invited to teach and also perform during the evening. When did that shift happen? When did more festivals start to pop up?
I mean, the first time we traveled as a group abroad, that was London 88 with the Jiving Lindy Hoppers. They invited us and we did this show and we did some other stuff together. I had been in London before with Catherine in 86 when I met Erin Stevens, Stephen Mitchell, Jiving Lindy Hoppers, where Ryan Francois was a part at the time. Some of the members of the New York Swing Dance Society were there too. But that was small things. In 92, if you remember, we traveled to New York on our own. We had no one inviting us really, but we were able to find a lot of small jobs in New York and in some other cities close to New York. And that's also when we were at the amateur night at the Apollo, if you remember.
Yep.
That we actually won. Believe it or not, we won that one. And that was, of course, a memorable moment in a way. But to me, I would say the first time we were professionally invited was 93. And that was Rob Van Haren in Santa Barbara, Jan Olsen. They had a festival. And they invited us, I guess it was in the summer, June. I say June 1993. And at that time, do you remember that Ryan danced with us at that time?
Yeah, he joined us in that tour we did.
Yeah.
He was part of that.
Yeah, so he was in Sweden for a few months.
Yeah.
And he worked together with us and he did this US tour. So we had this job as the main job in Santa Barbara with Rob and Jan. And then we were in New York and some other places and we did jobs that we were able to find. Yeah. So I think that was the first time we had a professional job that looks like maybe many of the dance camps today look like. But when we did those jobs, we were nearly always a performance act too. So we did all the teaching, bloom, 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 and then we ended up on the main dance night to do a shorter or longer show. So we never saw much of the social dance, because if you have a show, it's about the clothes, they should be ironed, you should warm up, blah, 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 you do the show, you rest a little bit, you pack your bags and the evening is over.
Yep.
So
very familiar.
Yeah, so we didn't see much of the social dance floor, I think.
Yeah.
But that was the nature of being a professional Lindy Hop dancer at the time. You had to live from the workshops. Those paid the bills. The performances, they gave you some money. But the main income you could get, it was from teaching or organizing something.
Correct. I want to touch a little bit more on Herräng Dance Camp, since it became such a big festival over the years and stayed. And you were there from the beginning. And did you have a vision with it when it started, or was it just a natural progression of, okay, it was already there in Herräng and Frankie came into the picture and it just grew from there? Or was it, did you have any, let's create this biggest thing in the world where everybody could come for 5 weeks?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I was a part of it from 82. And it was meant as a one-time event, because we had a teacher, John Clancy from New York, coming. Someone had gotten in contact with him. He came to Herräng the first time.
You talk about 82 now?
82, yes. And he was 70 years old, maybe something like that, white downtown Manhattan dancer that had worked in different dance schools back in the days. So he knew the Lindy. He didn't talk about the Lindy Hop really. He didn't have any reference to Harlem really. He spoke about the Savoy, but I think also he said that he had never been there. So he was another type of Lindy dancers. But he gave a lot of new information. I mean, especially with 8 counts, we didn't know that. But he introduced Lindy circles. He didn't do swing outs though. Anyway, so that was the beginning. And for many years it became because people liked it in 82, so they wanted Swedish Swing Society to do it again in 83. And that's what happened. So then it stayed up until 88 that way. With maybe it was 75 people the year after, maybe the next year it was 100, blah, blah, blah. It became 2 weeks after a while. And it was a few hundred people, Swedish dancers coming every year. And they learned a mix of jitterbug and Lindy Hop dancing something. Then we decided to start in 89 inviting Frankie to come. So then it was 2 parallel events for a few years before they got together. But I don't think we have we had any specific intention starting the camp. We just wanted to bring Frankie to Sweden, and I guess we had accepted them to also try to be a part of passing on the dance. And it was one thing that we were protective from the beginning, but it was another thing that I need to say also. It was that many of us, we felt, even though we had done something for 5-10 years by now, we didn't feel qualified to be teachers. But from 89, we kind of had to accept ourselves as teachers because we couldn't ask Frankie to do all the classes. So that was also the moment when the Rhythm Hotshots as a group said, okay, we will be a part of passing on the dance to new dancers also. Before that, we had not been teaching really, any of us. So it was kind of new. And then, first year we had 2 foreigners. Peter Cassidy from the US.
How do you remember this?
Because it was 2 of them and I did the administration. And
no computers, pen and paper, calling everybody, no matter time zones, like, yeah, we have a little room, I have a little room for you here, do you want to stay here? I mean, you took, the rest of us did some work, I hope. I remember I did some breakfast and picking up people from the airport, but you were the main person doing admin.
Yeah, for about 10 years I did all the I wouldn't say all, but 95% of all the pre-work was done by me. And then when the camp happened, all of us stepped in and did our piece of it. But Peter Cassidy from the US came in 89 and Carola White from Berlin.
With the nice dresses.
Did she have that?
Yeah. She dressed up. I was like, wow, look at her. I remember
I don't remember that though.
Yeah, well, 40s, 50s with a flair.
Yeah, so it was those 2. And I remember, personally, I was thinking, why are they coming here?
What about welcome, fun to see you?
No, of course we said that. But I was thinking, how come that a person from another country decides to spend a week of their holidays in this little village? It was a new thought. Just like moving away from being protective, it was also a new thought. Someone from another country is coming here to learn this dance in this little village. It had never I'd never been thinking that would be something that would happen. And that was, of course, not that I think we were thinking, we're going to make it international and make a lot of money. Because there was not a big established Lindy scene in the late 80s, early 90s. But we continued with the event, asking Frankie, Chas to come there. And then it was a few more foreigners coming. And
was it 1 week from the beginning?
No, we did 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
We did 2 weeks. So we had about 100 people each week. That was probably around the same amount as Swedish Swing Society had for their 2 weeks. And
I remember sorry for interrupting, I remember the discussion was like, well, it's 200 people now. It's like, no, we have to stop it. We cannot have 200 people. So it was all, when we saw it growing and the interest, it was exciting, but it was also like, it's no way we can accommodate 200 people. So it was that kind of getting used to the growing interest and making it work. Yeah,
I remember we had some limits how many there should be. I think we agreed on those somehow, maybe all of us, I don't know. But I also remember that I never cared about them. Because I always felt if someone wants to learn this dance, they should come here. And what is the problem to find a spot to sleep? I couldn't see the problem really. So to me it was just, I say, okay, welcome. You can come. And
so I mean, obviously that spirit was there from the beginning, that we'll make it work.
Yeah, but that spirit also came from the group itself, maybe a little bit of my personality, Frankie's personality, Chas came in, and Kalle Johansson.
Kalle, yep.
So, and we found a platform that was inspiring to work from. And I think especially Kalle, he said yes to everything. You could ask for anything, he would just say yes. And he fixed it. So his influence on me was there, of course. So I started to also say yes to everything. So both of us had a yes culture in circulation. And then we found some kind of artistic platform that was very much related to Frankie and Chas and some other of the veteran dancers that gradually came to the camp.
I think it's a wonderful contrast to closed doors and protective to like, yes, of course, the total opposite.
Sometimes you have to change.
Maybe you were gathering up such a need for like, get some more light and air and people in. Who knows? We don't have to go there. Yeah. But
No, but you started to think differently. The group was one thing, and that was a professional commitment, meaning that we were disciplined, we did our job, we wanted to be as close to the original movies as possible, because our speciality was to recreate a lot of the old numbers. Sometimes we added a little piece of ourselves, but most of the time it had a clear reference to a certain type of performer or number or something. So that was one thing. But Herräng moved on in another direction somehow, where you just said, hey, let's do it. It was more, we kept the administration together and the culture of the event together, but it was also gradually more and more open for other people's contributions, but within the frames that we had kind of set up. Yeah. Not that they were very formal, but there was a little bit of, we should be here.
Yeah.
So I think it was two sides of the coin, the disciplined work with the group, and then Herräng that was a little bit wild somehow. We just could move anywhere.
Yes, well, we've been talking for a while here, and I have two more things on my mind here. Even if so, one thing is, what is it about the 1980s that people who start today don't have any clue about? It's hard to track down and realize anything in particular from that time that you can't find on YouTube or really get a feel for, maybe.
I mean, it's a tricky question just to answer spontaneously, but we can point out a couple of things. One major difference is today it's very few of the old timers still in circulation. At that time there were plenty of them. Not that all of them were very visible, but you could find them somewhere. And that was the unique thing. You could call someone because you got a phone number, and maybe you could meet this person that you had read about or you had seen in a movie. And that happened very much. So that is one major thing. Then another thing is there was no internet. You couldn't find the information really. You had to figure out a way, maybe through books, through contacts. You had to travel to New York. It was a totally different process to find the information. There wasn't a social scene spread in the world at the time. There were no dance camps the way we know them today, or big festivals or things. It wasn't around. You had to do the work yourself, and you had to organize things yourself if something should happen. There was no one else to look for because the scene was so small. So someone had to pioneer all those things. And we were a part of that pioneering work. And then there were other people, like in London, jiving Lindy Hoppers, for instance, Simon Selman over there, Erin and Stephen in Pasadena, I mean, Sylvia Sykes and Jonathan, Rob and Diane. More and more people started to become engaged, and many of them started to teach. They might be performers also, but some of them, they were more in the environment of dance teaching, dance schools. And gradually that led to this type of dancing that was still existing and existed all the time. But since no new people came to the dance, it was hard, I think, for many people of the older generation in the late 70s, early 80s, to see that there is a future for this dance. Because there were no young people. And if they were like 3 or 4. I mean, that doesn't build a scene. So that was the big difference. The infrastructure for this dance, the way we know it today, was not at all there. So people had to do that work. Our know-how was very limited. I said it was hard to find, but it was also that now you can so easily get access to all these things. We had to do a lot of work to find out the most simple thing. So it's somewhere in this landscape is the major difference, I think, from how it is today. It's so accessible today. And that is good. But with my personality, I like the process of the work we did back in the days. That you had to dig for things, you had to do your own little research, you had to travel, you had to be a very active part of something. And I think that gave this particular dance and culture a certain kind of value in my life. If I had just been given it, from a class or from internet, whatever, I don't think it would have been the same. It was this investigation part that turned me on, that piece. It seemed to be forgotten somehow. Maybe we can do something, learn it, bring it back, make it come alive again. It was something like that.
Sounds very exciting when you talk about it.
It was exciting. It was the most exciting project.
Very committed. I picture you with your old bike and the big tower of the TV and the VHS and the VCR and all of day in 6 days a week, at least. Yeah, it was like...
Wow.
Week after
Let's
week.
do it again.
Rain and shine.
Let's do it again.
No, thank you.
Wow.
But it was exciting.
I was excited.
So one last thing, Lennart. What do you think about what comes to mind? Can't Top the Lindy Hop. This is 1994 in New York. Why is that such an important festival? We will finish with this. We will wrap up here.
Yeah, I have to go on.
Yes.
My parking ticket is out.
Yes.
If I get a fee now, who's going to pay that?
Oh, I take care of it, I promise.
You take care of it?
Yeah, because this has been taking long. But this is good. Can't Top the Lindy Hop New York, 94.
A major event. Herräng had already collected a kind of international audience. But when Can't Top the Lindy Hop came about, it was Frankie's 80th birthday. That was a big thing itself, because Frankie's birthday became very big all the time once he entered the Lindy community, the young Lindy community. So that was a big thing. It was held in New York, of course, and I don't remember, 4 days maybe, something like that. It was people from New York Swing Dance Society organizing it. And for us, being members of the Rhythm Hotshots, it was a main event, because we knew that all the other recognized dancers at the time were also invited. So everybody that were teaching, passing on, being a personality in the scene, we knew they were going to be there, plus a lot of other people. So we came there. This is must be late May then. Frankie's birthday, 26th of May, so it must be late May. We came there, and it was teaching, social dancing with live music, some lectures, presentations, and then one of the evenings it was a lot of performances of different kinds. And we wanted to be the best one.
Bring the roof down.
Yeah, we wanted to show the others that, okay, you can do something, but we can do it better. That was the attitude I think we had. So I don't remember how many numbers it was, maybe 10, 15, something like that. And I think we ended up last. We were put last in the program. So we had a Lindy number to Jumpin' at the Woodside. Very often we speeded up songs a little bit to touch a little bit the tempo of Hälsa Popil, but in this case we decided to not speed up so much. Maybe we speeded it up a little bit, so it was a little bit faster than the original version, the one from the 30s with Count Basie. And it was me and you, Eddie and Eva, and then it was David Dalmo and Ulrika Eriksson. And I think we did pretty well. I think so. We came in, and I think we didn't mess up anything. And if I look at it today, in many ways it's very clean. It's nearly too clean somehow. It doesn't have the raw feeling that I feel in many of the old movies.
The roughness.
The roughness was difficult.
To.
We had the know-how and the technique to execute a lot of stuff, but there was a little bit of rawness missing in it. But I think we should be proud over that number. And I mean, we did that number many times, so this is not exclusive. But it was a very special moment since all the other performers were there. Jiving Lindy Hoppers were there. Ryan and Julie from London was there. Stephen and Erin, Rob and Jan.
Jenny Thomas.
She wasn't performing at the time.
No, but I remember her doing Frankie was flipping her.
Oh, that was later. That was when he turned 85.
Oh, that was, yeah.
Ryan at the time, he was still dancing with Julie Oram. So this is before.
Yeah.
So I don't know when Jenny came in. I think she came in a few years later. When Frankie turned 85, she was there, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, so it was a big thing. And we have to remember there were not that many big festivals at the time.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing.
I remember, I think I'd never been that inspired. It was almost like the energy was just like, it was in the air and you didn't know. Like, I just had to go out there and do the thing. You didn't know how to like contain it somehow. It was so, this is it.
Yeah.
I remember that. Vividly.
You probably had very sweaty hands.
I probably did. I probably feel it now.
It's funny. When W was really ready to go, she got very sweaty hands.
You could just tell the temperature, like, hey, let's go.
Okay, so now I know. Now she's going
on.
for it. Yeah. So there was a time. Do you remember that I started to dance with gloves?
Was that the reason?
Oh, it was a little bit. I felt it was aesthetic somehow. But it was also the reason because I felt we got a little bit slippery sometimes when we were doing things. And these gloves that I used, they reduced that feeling.
We have a few things to talk off the camera.
We have to talk about things. Hey, I have to go and get my parking ticket.
Yes, you do. I want to say thank you so much for all the memories and stories and everything you shared. Thank you for your time. And
thank you.
Being willing to sit here with me and share with us.
Okay.
And to the audience, thank you very much for being here with us. Yes.
I go and pay my car ticket, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.